welcome back to God Nod. My name is Casey, and it's Mary's birthday today, which is why we got her in the background today. So happy birthday, Mary. Alright, today I have a God Nod about how God saved me time. I went to my first Focus conference ever a couple years ago at SLS 18 in Chicago, and I was dropped off at the train station in St. Louis. My train left at 7:55 in the morning, and so I got there at around 5:55. So when I got dropped off, I sat down and I was like, all right, I got 2 hours ahead of me. Cool, okay, whatever. Well, then about 15 minutes into sitting there, I got the news that my train was on a 3-hour delay. Great. So I didn't have a 2-hour wait anymore. I had a 5-hour wait. Cool. And then another 6 hours on the train. So that was frustrating. Have you been there before? I'm sure you have. So when I got the news, I was frustrated, but I was like, all right, the Lord's in control. Lord, I give this to you. Let your will be done. And I sat there in peace and I trusted in the Lord. And then about 10 minutes later, a whole bunch of people just like flew in through the doors of the train station. Like there was like maybe 5 people there with me just sitting there. And then about 50 people came through the doors and I was like, oh my goodness, what is happening? And I looked at all these people and then I realized I knew 2 of these people. And they were 2 friends of mine, Aaron and Leanne. And so I went over to Aaron and Leanne and I was like, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, oh, we're going to the conference. And I was like, what? Me too? Like, here we are. And I was like, oh, are you on this train? Because it just got delayed 3 hours. And they were like, no, we're on this train that leaves at like 8:05 or something. So they were on a different train. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome because mine's on a 3-hour delay. And my friend Leanne was like, well, why don't you go see if you can get switched to our train and you can ride with us? And I was like, okay. And I'm like that kind of person that's like, I'm like, it's fine, no, it's fine. Like, I don't want to like go up and cause trouble, like whatever, you know? But I was like, you know what? Like, if it's gonna save me 5 hours of waiting, I might as well try it. So I go up to the, I don't know, the desk, the people there, and I said, hey, is there any way I can get my ticket switched to this train? And the guy was like, no, that one is all sold out, sorry. And I was like, okay, Lord, your will be done, your will be done. And I stood there for a split second, maybe more than a split second. I stood there for a couple seconds, like, just like, okay. And then the guy behind him who just said, no, that's completely sold out, sorry. The guy behind him behind the counter goes, wait, why don't you go have a seat? I'm gonna check on the reserves for that train and let me see if we can do something for you. And I was like, hey, God, that might be you working, okay. And so I go sit down and have a seat, and I sit there for maybe about 5 minutes. And when I sat down, you know, I had this like little bit of hope that maybe the Lord could get me to this other train so I didn't have to wait there for 5 hours and I could be on the train with my friends, you know. And so I sit down and I'm like, I prayed, Lord, here I am. I want your will to be done. Let your will be done. Get me on the train that you want me to be on, not necessarily the train that I want to be on. Let your will be done. End of prayer. After those 5 minutes were over, the guy came over to me and he said, we were able to switch it for you. And I was like, yes! Oh, the Lord is so good. So I was able to get on the train with my friends and we left like an hour later. So not only did the Lord save me from waiting 5 hours at the train station all by myself and missing part of the conference because of how much of the delay there was, he specifically sat me next to a person on the train that he called me to witness to. So I'm on the train, I sit down, and this girl, whose name was Casey, sat down next to me, and we're like, oh, that's cool, we got the same name, that's cool, you know? And at that moment, I was like, I'm meant to be here. I just had that strong feeling like, okay, I'm meant to be right here, right now. Like, this is where the Lord is calling me. He got me on this train for a reason. All right, Lord, use me. And then me and this girl get to talking. She's about my age. We get to talking, and turns out She grew up Catholic, but no longer is in the Catholic Church. She still has a strong faith. She prays, whatnot, but she's no longer Catholic. And I was like, aha, Lord, this is the reason. And so we just started talking about our faith and our faith journeys, and I got to a little bit know about more her, and she got to know about me, and I kind of told her my conversion story, or not my conversion story, but like, my first God nod of adoration and the awakening of my faith and realizing how real and true the Lord is in the Eucharist, and she was just blown away by it, and she was like, interesting, really. And she kind of came from the background of like, oh, Catholics are boring, the faith is kind of dead in the Catholic Church, so I left it, kind of thing. Well, then she asked like where I was going to, and I told her about this conference, and she was so surprised that there are over 10,000 Catholic not teens, we were in college, like 20-year-olds going to go worship the Lord at a Catholic gathering. And so I was just a witness to her. I just let it all out, and she took it all. And I was like, all right, this is why the Lord got me to this train. Maybe all along this was the Lord's plan. Maybe the Lord got this train delayed so that I would ask, so that I could be on this train, so that I could witness to her. I don't know, but the point is, the Lord got me on this other train, saved me 5 hours from waiting, used me in a situation to witness to this girl that I don't know if she is back in the Catholic faith or not. I just know that the Lord used me to plant a seed in her, for her to know that the Catholic Church is not dead. We are not boring. Like, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Catholic teens and Catholic 20 and 30-year-olds who are so in love with Jesus. So we're not boring, we're not dead, but we are alive. And maybe she just needed to hear that. Maybe that's the one thing she needed to hear. So from this God nod, I learned a couple of things. First of all, surrendering to the Lord and asking for His will is always the first and foremost thing that we should always do whenever we get in these situations. Yeah, of course we can pray like, Lord, get me on this train, but I think what's most important is that we are always putting the Lord's will first. So there's that. And then second, to not be anxious and to get mad and frustrated over these kinds of things, because in reality they're not that big, even though they feel really big in the moment. I'm sure you've been there when you're like waiting and delays, or just things don't go your way, or things have to change, the unexpected happens, and there's that temptation to get really mad and worked up and frustrated and think, oh my gosh, like I need to be here, yada yada yada. But if we just pause and we just say, okay, Lord, I trust you are in control, I trust in your will, let your will be done. And I think peace comes a lot quicker that way. And who knows what the Lord does in those situations. And then second of all, when the Lord does come through in those situations, to think, okay, Lord, where do you want to use me? To me, that was the girl sitting right next to me. Maybe I could have helped a girl with a suitcase or whatever. But the point is, after the Lord answers some of our these prayers, to ask, okay, Lord, now how can I help you? How do you want to use me right now? And then don't be afraid to let your light shine. Be a witness to the Lord. Be a witness of your faith. That's all. That's all I gotta say. Okay, happy birthday to Mary. Wish her a happy birthday. And I hope you enjoyed this God nod. And know I am praying for you guys, and I love you.